this is Laura from Doggy U, and today we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite pieces of equipment, the long line. Now, I don't know if you guys have used a long line before, but it's basically a long rope or an extended leash that isn't a flexi, it's a fixed leash, just longer than your typical 6-foot leash. The one that I use is made out of biothane and it's 30 feet long, and I'll link that down in the description in case you want to try it out. But I love this piece of equipment because it allows your dog to have a lot of freedom while still being securely connected to you. I get a lot of clients who really struggle with their dogs running off after squirrels or people or things in the woods that they want to get to or out in the open field and not listening. Or the dog will just dawdle, not listen to the owner, and the owner has no repercussion because if the dog is off leash, the dog can just go. And if your dog isn't trustworthy, the long line can be your best friend. So if you're in the woods, your dog shouldn't be running up to other people or running up to other dogs because that can really scare other people if they're not dog people or if their dog has issues or might be sick or old or infirm. We want to respect everybody's ability to use open spaces. So the long line is a great solution for that dog that hasn't mastered the recall yet. The way that I use the long line is a bridge to off-leash work. So what I'll start with is having the dog on the long line, practicing my recalls over and over and making sure that my dog is really trustworthy no matter what happens outside in the woods, if anything happens. One of my instructors used to say, if the Pope comes down in a hot air balloon, your dog should be able to recall. And I totally agree. And if they can't, they should be on some type of line. And that's where the biothane long line comes in. The reason that I love the biothane as well is because it's easy to clean, it can get wet, and it's not going to have any issues, it just comes right off. So it's a super nice piece of equipment. If your dog has a poor recall, the next step after practicing with your long line with them attached to you is to start letting it drag. So once you're confident that every time that they've been on the long line, they've called to you, you've called them, and they come to you right away, now it's time for the next step. Now you're gonna let them drag the line. And what's great about having them drag the 30 foot is that if you see something and you're not sure or you're not confident they're gonna recall, you just go over and step on the line. Now you have control, you can call them, but they're not gonna make any mistakes. And more importantly, they're not gonna learn that because they see something else, they can ignore you and run off. That's a problem that a lot of people get into. They let their dogs off leash and the dog will just see something that they want and they will bolt. And the person will be calling after them and calling. And the dog basically learns that when the person calls them, they can just ignore them and go up and accost another dog. And we don't want that because we want to make sure that everybody in the public space is getting to enjoy that public space. So a lot of people are nervous around other dogs, or they haven't had a good experience with a dog, or their dog maybe is dog reactive, or injured or sick or old, and they can't have dogs running up to them in these spaces where your dog should be leashed or under voice control. If your dog is running up to them despite you calling them, not under voice control. So that's where you need to pick up your long line and start practicing with your dog. The long line allows your dog to be a dog. It allows them to stop and sniff and smell the roses and roll around and be silly. All of those things with the security and the safety of them being tethered to you, and also letting them not get away with bad behavior like running away while you're still training. The long line is an amazing tool and it's an integral part of my training program. Do you love your long line? Comment below. And if you like this video, click that thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Happy training!